Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest is an MMA fighter, and he's here to join us, tell us all about it. Please help me welcome Christian Natividad. Welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I didn't jack up your last name, did I?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, man. It's a lot of people get it mixed up with Navidad, like Feliz Navidad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it's confusing. So when people try to butcher it, man, it's not an issue. I hear it all the time.
I feel you. Well, welcome to the show. So you're a Filipino and Hawaiian. You were born and raised in Hawaii. Is that correct?
That actually is incorrect. So I was actually my dad. He's originally from Hawaii. He joined the military. So when myself, my brother, and my younger sister, when we were born all across the country. I was born in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all the way down in the East Coast, man.
Okay.
Don't remember a thing though.
But you were raised in Hawaii.
Raised in Hawaii. Yeah, okay. I moved there when I was 5 years old and lived there for till I left for college.
Okay. So how was it like growing up there? I've been to Hawaii, Waikiki. Beautiful place. How was it growing up there?
Oh, dude, it's awesome, man. A lot of people can't relate to me because I lived in paradise, man. So it's definitely such a different experience just being able to live like and see green every day, see the beach, and really have that great, awesome weather. Only thing is you're on a rock, man. So as far as like being in high school, all you have to do is go to school. When you graduate, you need all those opportunities. And Hawaii, it's an awesome place, but it's hard for those opportunities to come around.
So how did you get interested in fighting?
Funny story, man. So I actually had no interest in fighting until maybe six years ago. Way it happened was I just wanted to be an officer in the military, and I wanted to wrestle in college. Since I didn't pursue the military or the wrestling team, I decided to fight MMA because of my brother. He was already doing it. So he was a big part of me starting to train MMA and getting into that field.
So how does one get started? I mean, so you decide this is what you want to do. I'm sure, did you get with a coach? Did you get with a trainer? How did you get started?
I got with my brother. So I started training jiu-jitsu back in 2012. Went to college and wrestled for a little bit. And then I told my brother, hey, you want to move to Arizona with me? I need a roommate. And
Is your brother older?
Yeah, he's my older brother.
Okay.
So at this point, I just wanted to do the military and wrestling. Right. And then my brother was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to move with you because I'm going to start training at this gym. So my brother started training at that gym. ROTC and wrestling didn't follow through. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to start training with my brother. And as soon as I started training, man, I absolutely like fell in love and I did not want to do anything else. It was such a different experience. And a lot of MMA fighters could relate, but you got to have a little bit of crazy in you. So I'm a little like this sometimes.
At least you know it.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people when they meet me, they would never think I'm an MMA fighter or I try to pursue like this crazy sport. But I think it's because I have that release when I train and when I fight.
Yeah. So once you start training with your brother and you fall in love with it, how do you start fighting? How do you actually have that? When did you tell us about your first match, your first fight?
Yeah, so the way it happened was back in 2016, this was around March, my coach was like, hey, you want to do this MMA tournament? And I was like, for my first fight, I don't know if I want to have 3 fights in 3 days. I feel like that's a little too much, especially for my first ever MMA fight. So I said no, and definitely a lot of nerves. Anytime you compete in anything, whether it's jiu-jitsu, MMA fight, or even a small friendly tournament against friends, you get that some sort of nerves. So I had a ton of nerves, did not want to do it. I told my coach, you know what, let's do summertime. So we booked the fight for June 2016. And to be honest, it was pretty surreal. Didn't feel like it was happening until it really happened.
Right.
I mean, there were nerves coming into it, but day of the fight, I was like, I'm here. I'm in a cage, man. I'm about to start fighting, and it's so crazy how fast things can happen.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much just having that push from my coach and especially from my brother.
Yeah. And so that obviously once you get started, I'm sure it's very disciplined from diet to training. What is your schedule like on a normal basis?
Oh, so now it's for a lot of people that don't know that's watching right now. So I have a very, very busy schedule, man. So I'm the national finance manager for one of the biggest solar companies here in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
Titan Solar Power. So as the finance manager, I still got to work full time. I still have to manage all these finances and even manage a team. So there is a lot on my plate. The way my schedule works is I come into the office at 7 o'clock and I leave anywhere between 9 to 12 or 12 to 3 to go train. And
Mm-hmm.
then I come back and I stay until 7 o'clock at night. So I'm still working my 8 to 9 hours and still trying to train full time. And sometimes I do leave a little bit early. Sometimes I do leave at a little bit before 6, and I go to the gym from 6 to 7 or 6 to 8, depending on what it is. So I still try to train as much as these guys do because that fight full time, just because it doesn't matter if I'm a manager or not. If we're both locked into the cage, I mean, it depends who put in more work, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And you are very good. Let me read off some of your credentials. I'm gonna brag for you. Former number one ranked flyweight and bantamweight and featherweight amateur fighter in Arizona. Former RUF featherweight amateur champion. Your amateur record itself is 5-0. Your pro record is 3-0. So when you're getting all these accolades and winning all these fights and matches, what are you thinking? Like all this work that you put into, and now you start to see reap the benefits. What's going through your mind at this point?
Oh, like it's crazy because I do see the big picture as far
Yeah,
as me. And as corny as it sounds, you hear it all the time. The big goal is UFC champion, of course. That's what everyone dreams of. And as corny as it sounds, that's what I really, really want.
mm,
And sometimes you kind of lose sight. I don't want to say lose sight, but you don't really think about the small, short-term goals that come in between. So like just becoming the 3 division number one ranked fighter in Arizona. To be honest, I never thought of myself being that, but it happened.
right.
Being a featherweight champion, I mean, I'm not a big person, like I'm only 5'5". I
Mm,
don't have a big build. You see me fighting at 45, you think I'm small. I never would have thought I would have been the champ at 145, but it happened. And pretty much all it is you just got to show up to the gym and you just got to work. Like
yeah,
my job as an MMA fighter is show up to the gym and fight, and that's it. When it comes to having fights scheduled, I have a manager for that. When it comes to learning new technique, I have a coach for that. My
mm,
job, just show up and listen.
mm.
Yeah.
So is MMA world? Is that a small community, a tight community? Like, do most people know each other? I mean, like a lot of industries. Is that how it is there?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly how it is. And as the years go on, the MMA community definitely is growing, but um, I see a lot of people out like at the mall and stuff, and I recognize all these different people, even in different states.
Yeah,
Uh, MMA community definitely is growing, but uh, if you have a name out there, which my name, it's not super big, but it definitely is growing,
yeah.
you'll start to recognize people out in the open.
Hmm. So, what advice would you give to someone? Because this is something you kind of fell into, but someone that a little kid at home playing the games, watching it, and wanting to get into it as they get older. What advice would you give?
So my advice would be, I got two pieces of advice right here. So one of them, if you're not crazy, then you're not in the right sport. And then the second one is, if you don't like to get hit, you're not in the right sport. Because that's the thing. A lot of people, they say they want to fight MMA, but they want a pretty boy face. They want to be untouched. Which, I mean, in reality, that's that. Or hypothetically, in the perfect world, that's what you would want. You want to hit and not get hit. I mean, Floyd Mayweather, he was the master of that. Pernell Whitaker, they're slipping all these punches, but a lot of times you have to accept the fact that you are gonna get hit. Mayweather, throughout all of his fights, even though he was the master of hitting and not getting hit, he
Mm-hmm.
still got hit. He still
Right.
got rocked. He still had bloody noses, all that stuff. Pernell Whitaker, he had his losses. So just being able to accept the fact that you're gonna get caught, you're gonna get
Yep.
hit, and it's not a pretty sport.
Have you ever gotten really hurt? I know obviously you've gotten hurt, but have you got like hurt in a bad way?
I have, and thankfully it never happened in any of my fights.
Okay.
All of my injuries came through training, so I've been knocked out several times.
Yeah.
And when I say knocked out, I was never knocked out cold, but I got knocked out or did a flash knockout. And the
Mhm.
crazy thing is, I didn't remember anything from the point that I got knocked out till like 10 minutes later. This
Wow.
time frame, I had no idea what was going on. And then I've been put to sleep a couple of times with a couple of chokes. I tore my ACL, so I've had my fair share of injuries, but it's the hurt business, man. You're destined to get hurt.
If that's your thing, your passion, I guess it's worth it, huh?
Yeah, and that's why you got to be crazy, man. A lot of people are like, "Why are you gonna let this guy tear your ACL?" I'm not, but I'm crazy enough to get myself into that position and try to fight through it.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
Are you ever intimidated by someone? Well, obviously you beat them all up, but are you ever intimidated by like when you have a match coming up? Are you like, oh man, I'm fighting this dude? Have you ever had that experience?
What's crazy is I definitely do have those nerves, and as much as I would want to lie about it, saying I have no nerves,
Yeah.
100% a lie. I've always had it, even on wrestling. I remember there's this guy wrestled. I'm not gonna say what school he wrestled, so he does. If he watches this podcast, he's gonna be like, "Hey, that's me." But I used to wrestle this guy, and every time I would wrestle him, I would always dominate him. I'd always beat him by at least 8 points, and I was all over him. And
Right.
even though it was the 10th time I've seen him throughout the past 2 years, I still got those nerves in my stomach.
Mhm.
MMA, it's a little bit different because it's an MMA fight, so you could get knocked out, you could get embarrassed in front of uh, thousands and thousands of people. But that's what makes it so great.
Yeah.
Like if there's no pressure, if there's no really risk,
Mhm.
then there's no fun in it at all. That's what makes the game so beautiful and so much fun.
What goes through your mind when you're going into the ring? Like right before you're about to go into the ring, what's going through your mind? I'm sure your adrenaline is rushing. What's going on?
hmm to be honest, like that's pretty crazy. I don't even know what goes through my mind whenever I have those fights coming up. I'm pretty tunnel vision. I'm super focused, and really nothing's really distracting me.
What's your sign?
My like birth sign,
Yeah.
Sagittarius.
Okay. Yeah. That makes a
Yeah,
lot of
born in December, man.
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
My brother's Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Well, listen, where can everybody keep up with you on your website, social media? What's the best way to keep up with everything you have going on?
Yeah. So social medias that I have, Instagram. I know everybody has an Instagram these days. My Instagram is Christian Natividad. It's a little bit confusing. The way you spell that Christian, the way how you spell every other Christian, the religion.
Right.
And then Natividad, it's Natividad, just my name, Christian Natividad. I do have a Twitter as well. I'm trying to get all of my handles the same, but my Twitter handle is the Poi Pounda, and
Okay.
that's the POIPOUNDA.
Christian Natividad, man, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I wish you continued success, and I hope you go as far as this and keep kicking. You know what in the process. And for more
Awesome,
information,
man.
you can go to our website, thestephenightshow.com. We'll be right back after this.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.